You ready to let the dogs out?
What?
Do what?
From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Join Pet Pals TV's Patty Spitler as we celebrate our furry friends.
Cats, dogs, and all the critters in your family.
Celebrate the bond between pets and people and meet Hoosier heroes saving four-legged lives.
I love it. Good. I'm glad.
It's the Positively Patty Podcast.
I can't wait anymore.
Me neither.
Now, your host, here's Wish TV contributor Patty Spitler.
Positively Patty Podcast, and we're talking with Tom Dock. Tom Dock is also at Noah's, and he's in charge of everything, and also he's on Pet Pals TV. So we're going to talk about bugs. What's bugging you and what's bugging your dog? Cicadas. What happens if your dog ingests some? What does that mean? When should you see a vet? Well, we know you should be listening to the Positively Patty Podcast. It's next. The Positively Patty Podcast, and today we have our friend, and he's always telling us what we need to know. Tom Dock is here, CVJ, certified veterinary journalist, and also our Pet Pals TV investigative reporter. We're investigating those darned cicadas, and I have been reading, very timely, that if the dogs eat them, some of them get sick. Tom Dock, what do you say?
Well, thanks for letting me be here in that great introduction. Yeah, cicadas. So, some people are inundated with them right now.
Yeah.
Some people aren't. They're like any bug. They don't have stingers. They're not toxic. So if your dog eats one or two or three, or a bigger dog 4, probably not going to be problematic. But if they're hatching out, if you're in an older area where there's still lots of these cicada eggs, and they're hatching out dozens at a time, and your dog is just gobbling like they're candy, yeah, maybe that might be a problem. Not only from a upset stomach standpoint, so you get GI signs of vomiting and diarrhea, but they don't digest very quickly because it's a hard shell.
The shell.
And it could become obstructed. Now, I don't know. We're going to verify this, but I don't know. But I hear if your dog's allergic to shrimp, eating one of these could cause a problem.
Oh, so because of the shells.
Because of the shell. It makes sense because shrimp shells are made out of chitin, just like insects
I didn't know
are made
that.
out of chitin. So that's probably the tying in factor. But we're going to verify that. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Yes, it is interesting. And also, what makes sense is the fact that, like all things in life, moderation.
Right.
I mean, if you eat 1 or 2, it's okay. You don't eat 12, as you said. So what should you do if your dog... Would the cat eat it too? I don't know.
I've seen cats go after a lot of bugs, so it would not surprise me, and it would probably cause more of a problem. Fewer would cause more of a problem because they're smaller.
Yeah.
But I think the big overarching message here, moderation, right? So if you eat 1 or 2, no big deal. But the other thing is that we need to be paying attention to our pets when they go outside.
Yes.
Not only so they don't eat weird things, but are they eliminating properly? Are they peeing and pooping the way they're supposed to? Okay? Because that can give us early signs that there's a problem.
I look at dog and cat poop and pee all the time because that tells you they're doing well,
right, exactly.
Or I know what goes in and I know what comes out. I watch them when they poo-poo. I said, you want to go out? And they go out, and I watch them to make sure that it's okay. It's formed the right way, because that's your first indication, upset tummy. And people who have Bernese Mountain Dogs will know they tend to get very upset stomachs very easily. And it's a big dog, and it can be a mess. Okay, So let's go back to the bugs. So watch what your dog's doing. Go to the doctor if you see an upset. Go to your vet.
Always. It's always worth a phone call if they have vomiting and diarrhea. The rule of thumb is if your dog vomits more than 4 times in an hour, or more than 8 times in a day, they should be seen. Okay?
Of course.
One time, we're not going to get too upset. One time in the morning, one time in the evening. We're not going to get too upset unless it's consistent.
I'd be upset.
Yeah. Or if they got into something.
Yeah.
But, so often we'll see people are like, well, he's been vomiting all night long, once, 2-3 times an hour, every hour. That's dehydrating. They need to be in at an emergency clinic as quickly as possible.
That brings me to this. Are you folks open now? Can you go in with your animal, or are you doing curbside service still?
So the answer to that is yes, across the board. to all those questions. Each individual veterinary practice is going to be a little bit different, and we have practices within the NOAA system that have said, they're out in Hancock County. Yep. We're done. You guys, they're still having people call to limit the number of people in the building, but they're not being, you have to stay at the car. Right. We have other practices that still, they're trying to work through staff getting vaccinated. They're busier, smaller practices. They're still saying, we want to wait. We want another month. We want another month and a half.
To make sure.
So again, just be patient. That's the biggest thing we can tell people. We're still a year and a half of how soon can you get me in? How long is the wait at the emergency hospital? So
one of your hospitals closed on Sunday?
So our main hospital, the oldest hospital, NOAA's,
24-hour.
the 24-hour hospital, the actual original NOAA's Animal Hospital.
Oh, it's a great place.
Right. They have been 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for over 20 years. And because we can't find enough staff, we had to say we can't do emergencies on overnight, and now we're closed on Sundays. So it's a big blow to that area of town because, people rely on that. Thankfully, we do have the other 2 emergency hospitals, and thankfully there's another 3 or 4 non-NOAA's emergency hospitals around town, so the pets are getting taken care of.
Right.
But, right now there's 14 job applications for every veterinarian out there.
What?
14 to 1 is the ratio right now.
Well, and why? I know now we can get into that too. Maybe that's a topic for another day. Vet techs, it's a tough business, and a lot of them some of them might be affected, mentally, depression because of everything that's going on, and quite frankly, they have a very high suicide rate. When you go to, you want to just say it, that's it.
Yeah, they really do. Compassion fatigue, burnout, and you're dealing, certainly we see that in other caring professions like human physicians and nurses and everything, but there's an added money factor on top of it. There's the added stress, believe it or not, of euthanasia, because in humans, we don't have euthanasia very often, right?
Right.
It happens daily in the veterinary field, and you're having to go from that emotional roller coaster of, I'm so sorry that we're having to put your pet down, to, look, a new puppy, and everybody's up and smiling. And so that's back and forth. And so we're really watching the well-being of our employees right now.
And the people who tend to be attracted to these professions, vet techs, they're very caring people about the animals, so it affects them. It's not just a job. It's
a career,
passion.
It's a passion, it's their life.
Okay. Whew. All right, let's get back to things in the summertime to be careful of. We've had a lot of rain lately. What does that brings other bugs as well? What would you say?
Well,
to that?
Certainly when we have standing water, that increases the mosquito population.
Yes.
So the mosquito population means that there's going to be more heartworms. So definitely keep your pets, all of them, dogs and cats, on parasite prevention every 30 days. Also, when we have wet weather like this, we tend to see an increase in parasites like Giardia, which is a protozoan parasite that can cause diarrhea in dogs. We also see an increase in a bacterial disease called leptospirosis. Leptospirosis is the most common human zoonotic disease across the world. Okay, so our dogs can spread it. Deer, raccoon, all sorts of mammals can spread lepto, and so you've got to be careful and vaccinate your dog for leptospirosis so that they don't continue to spread it.
All right. Summer always has other special challenges too. And I do see we haven't had really that hot yet, but don't walk your dog when it's really, really hot. Do it in the morning. And number 2, their paws on that hot pavement. But if you put your hand down, put the back of your hand down, if it's too hot, don't let your dog walk in it, right?
Absolutely. We talked about this over, I think, the last several summers. And, with my dogs and going to the Indy 11 games and everything, that's the first thing I do. I jump out of the car, my hands down on the pavement. Okay, they can get out of the car.
And people give you money then because they think you need something. You got an open palm.
Maybe, because the way I dress and all that kind of stuff. But no, I mean, seriously, walk them in grass.
Right.
Don't have them on the blacktop or the sidewalk.
Right.
It will burn their paws, and I see that far too often.
Okay, again, we're speaking with Tom Dock, certified veterinary journalist, and also NOAA's, what would you say your title is over there?
Director of Communications.
The Director of Communications.
Sure.
He's in charge of everything. And we trust him. We always say, ask keep calm, contact Tom. So if you go to our Pet Pals TV website, you can find Tom, and he's very, very conscious about getting back with you and helping you. So that's petpalstv.com and look up Tom. All right, let's go back to summertime. What else can we talk about? I know. This really drives me crazy. Well, a lot of things drive me crazy. This one in particular, people who shave their dogs. It's not good for them. I mean,
Right.
and I know my Bernese Mountain Dog, and I take for grooming, take to Noah's. But don't shave them. You do what's called what's it called, threading or
Stripping.
Well, I mean, but when they the undercoat.
The undercoat, right. You're stripping out the undercoat and
Okay.
everything because that can get really matted underneath
I
there.
understand. So, yes.
Right, but shaving them does not help. It actually removes that barrier because the undercoat protects by having a barrier of air in there.
It
That
helps them in heat
Cool.
and in cold, so don't shave them. And the other thing is they can get sunburn, too.
White dogs especially. You get these white pit bulls that are out there, or white German shepherds with maybe a shorter coat. They can get sunburned. And so there are sunscreens for dog. You just have to be careful of which type. Make sure it's a pet-approved one, not necessarily just any sunscreen.
Yeah. Oh, that brings me up to another one. I always had so many questions for you. Somebody has a cold or something, and they think their dog needs it. Don't give them a Benadryl, right? Oh, no, you're rolling your eyes. Tell me about that. I hear
wish
that
you guys
a lot.
could see
though.
me rolling my eyes. Yeah, we hear it a lot too, and it's one of the most common things that we see in social media, common phone calls that we get. So Benadryl is an antihistamine. Benadryl was designed for people and people handling people's allergies. People have their histamine receptors in their airway, so that's why we get sniffly and sneezy and the coughing when we have allergies. Dogs and cats, the histamine receptors are in the skin, so they get itchy. Benadryl was not designed to work on that. Will it on some dogs? Yeah, about a third of them, about 33%.
Okay.
But here's the thing. If your dog's already itchy, Benadryl's not going to cut it. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you think they have allergies, talk with your veterinarian. There are much, much better
Right.
dog-approved products out there.
Okay. And you know, for Mabel and Stewie, they both have had in the past itchy problems. And Mabel had some on her back. She had a little spot back there.
I do.
And I have to be very careful. I'm always grabbing his ears. His ears get really hot for Stewie. And that tells me when he has hot ears that something's going on in there because his ears hang down. Do dogs that have their ears are floppy too, that tends to be more of a problem, right?
Right. Let's keep in mind, let's back up and talk about the ear itself. It's skin, okay? It's a piece of cartilage covered by skin. And so anything that's affecting the skin is going to potentially show up in the ears.
Right.
Dogs that have really floppy ears, you can't get good airflow in there.
Yeah.
There's lots of different reasons. And so people will come to us and say, my dog's got an ear infection. Okay, well, that's a symptom of a bigger problem.
Okay.
It might be allergies. It could be food allergies. It could be environmental allergies, just like we get. It could be a imbalance of hormones going on as well. So just because your veterinarian says, okay, try this on the ear and it clears up does not mean that it's going to get better and stay better. You've got to keep on top of it.
All right. I don't know if you saw, I've been on TV a couple of times talking about it. Have you seen my story on cat pee?
I have not. and that's kind of embarrassing because I should. But
This comes because it's something that's happened. It happens every year, but it seems to be very prevalent this year. Moles and voles and chipmunks. Oh boy, there. And you see, Randy Ollis had terrible infestation at his yard. And you know what's natural to do, so you don't have to use a pesticide?
cat pee. That
Yes.
makes sense.
Because it's a predator, and the moles go, ooh,
I don't
there's
wanna
a
be
cat
here.
here. I better move somewhere else. So that and it works. I also have at my house. I think you've seen them. I have my neighbor has 2 beehives. I cannot use pesticides, and with 2 dogs in the yard, I don't want them. I don't want pesticides either. So this is the natural way. It doesn't kill them, but it tells them, hey, there's a predator here. We're going to get out of the way. And you don't have to have an outside cat. I'm not going to let Timber go out and get them, although he would love to. Let me tell you. He's a little hunter. But if you take the cat clumps out of your kitty litter and stick it in a hole and do it maybe several times. Now, it's not like a terrible pesticide that's going to, right away you're going to see. You may have to do it a few times, but they'll get the message that there's a cat there and I better get the heck out of here.
Well, that makes a lot more sense because I was picturing Timber lifting his leg and peeing in the hole, and how are you going to train him to do that? I'm not sure.
If I could get that on my iPhone, I'd show it to you. No, but I just take the clumps out, and it works very well. Of course, the neighbors think I'm crazy, but anyway, no, I had it on weird. And Randy Ellis and I were talking about, I got something like 25,000 hits, so I'm going to start selling Patty's pee. Patty's cat pee.
Well, while you're in the litter box,
yes,
just scoop up the dry material too and package it for dog treats, because we all know how much dogs love to get in the cat boxes, which don't let them do that, please, audience. We're being sarcastic here. But we do know that it seems to be tasty. So,
well, especially when they're puppies. I had that, but not anymore, but I remember when he was a puppy, he wanted to munch on that. Okay, something else to watch for when they're out in the yard, and I noticed that it's partly my fault because I feed the animals. Watch out for little bunny pellets, too. I see those, and I have to say, do we leave those alone? So back to your thing, watch when your dog's doing.
Right.
Watch what he's doing.
Right, and if they eat the rabbit stool, I mean, it could bring a parasite. It might bring what we call kind of a opportunistic parasite that the dog will just pass through, but it can be confusing at the veterinarian. Then when your veterinarian says, oh, he's got coccidia, you're like, well, how did he get that?
How did he get that?
Probably eating rabbit poop, and it may be just that it's just passing through his system. So.
Passing through. Well, we thank you for passing through today, she said, wrapping it up. No, you're always a very welcome guest, and you always have such good information. Again, see Tom Doc on Pet Pals TV. Tom Doc is on Indie Style every 2 weeks now, something like that.
They put the two of us opposite. I guess they can't handle both of us on the same
I think
at the same time.
A dueling dog thing. They probably, but he's on Indie Style. Look for him there all the time, Pet Pals TV, and 24/7, you can go and look at his blogs and ask him a question. Go to petpalstv.com, and also how many Noah's locations do you have now? 8?
We have 10 total. There are 9 that are open right now. We actually, it's a great story. We're letting Greenfield Hancock Animal Management borrow one of our facilities while their new facility is being built.
Oh, okay. Well, I highly advise, recommend, and endorse Noah's Animal Hospitals. Thank you so much. And where else can you say pee and get away with it, right?
Only on the Positively Patty podcast. Did I say that right?
More peas. Thank you very much, Tom Doc. And we'll see you next time on the PPP. All righty. Bye-bye. This has been the Positively Patty podcast from Wish TV. I'm Patty Spittler. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you do that now. And check out for new updates every single week. You can also learn more at wishtv.com. And when you follow Wish TV on Facebook.
Discover more pet-friendly stories at petpalstv.com. And stay with Wish TV online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast and discover more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.